Today I'm going to be talking about why I will be holding MSTY forever. A lot of people don't like the YieldMax ETF funds like MSTY, but I'm going to give my reason why I will be holding MSTY for a very long time. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to talk a little bit about MSTY, MSTY. We'll take a look at the charts and then we'll take a look at my spreadsheet to explain where my position is at and why I will be holding MSTY for a very long time. So here we're looking at the stock charts for MSTY on the Webull chart. And as you can see, we had the red day on Friday. It did drop down to that bottom of the Bollinger Band right here. We do have some negative momentum on the MACD that is also crossing down, and the RSI2 did drop below the 10. So on Friday, I did purchase some extra shares, and you can see the previous video where I went through that purchase price and where I also sold an additional put on MSTY. And I'll link that video right here if you want to go and check that out. So there's a lot of people who do not really like the YieldMax ETF funds, and these funds are not for everyone. We will look at my spreadsheet and I'll show you my position on that and why I'm excited about holding MSTY. So the one thing everybody always talks about is the NAV erosion, and NAV standing for the net asset value. And I've got that shown here. It also shows up on the chart for the Webull chart. It shows here, you can see NAV is $21.40. So like I said, one of the things you always hear about is the NAV erosion, meaning that the stock is at $21.52 now, and then it drops down to $21.40, and then this NAV goes down to 20 bucks. So then the stock drops to 20 bucks, and then it goes to 19, and it goes down to 19. So it just keeps on dropping, right? Now, not saying that that cannot happen, because all of these high yield ETFs do have a type of NAV erosion. But with MSTY, we can look back at the full chart on MSTY since inception and see how much NAV erosion we've had since the opening of MSTY. So to do that, I'm going to switch over from the adjusted chart, and I'm going to switch that back to the actual chart, and that will give the actual prices to give the true movements of those candles. So to do that, we'll go to from adjusted to actual. And now we are looking at the actual prices on MSTY. So now we're on the actual chart here, and we will go back and we will look at the full chart since inception. So I will go right now, I'll flip it to the 1 year chart, and then I'm going to scroll back so that we can get the whole chart in the screen right here so you can see it. So if I zoom in on the first day, you can see that the opening price was $20.38. So we're going to draw a line at $20.38. And to do that, we'll just go up here to our little line. We'll do the horizontal line. We'll draw the line somewhere close to it. And then we can go and we can actually zero in on that number by going to the settings of that line and then type in the $20.38. right here and click done. It will move that line to that point. So that was the opening on February the 22nd of 2024. That was the day of inception. And then we will zoom out so that we can get the full chart and then see where are we at today. And as we zoom out, now this is, like I said, these are the actual price movements of the stock itself. So we'll actually change this line to a red line just so that it stands out a little bit more. So there we go. Now it's a red line. So that is the price at inception. So that's the inception price right there. So we can zoom out and we will zoom back in to the front or the current time frame of the chart. Let me zoom in so we can all see a little bit better. And as you can see, here's that red line. So this is the inception date price of $20.38. Well, we are currently at $21.52. So if there was NAV erosion, then this current price would definitely be below this $20.38. But as you can see, it is not. Now, has it been? Yes. Actually, it went as low as $17.10. But for NAV erosion, normally that means that every time that you're getting paid out these distributions, that price just keeps on kind of coming down and keeps coming down and keeps coming down, right? Now, when you do get paid out your distributions here, that does come out of the price of the stock, just like any other dividend pay in stock. When you get paid that dividend, in this case a distribution, then the price is reflected on X date of that payout of the distribution or of the dividend. So YieldMax is no different than any other stock that would pay a distribution or dividend, right? It still comes out of the price of that stock. Now, one of the differences, of course, is with YieldMax, you do have a higher expense ratio, in this case 0.99%, whereas you wouldn't have anything close to that with any other type of stock that you would receive a dividend on. And also, you're not going to get a $2.37 distribution on a $20 stock with anything else outside of these high yield ETFs. But don't let that distribution dollar amount per share blind you, as it can do so. You can see that big dollar amount coming in, and it could make you think, oh, I'll just keep buying shares, buying shares, buying shares, and buying more shares, and then reinvest my distributions right back into it. And you can do that if that is what you choose to do. But since these high yield stocks do not necessarily increase in price, they can, or they don't necessarily increase in price. Therefore, as you can see here, we are pretty much right back to where we started as far as in price wise. So the price appreciation is not really there much for these YieldMax ETFs. Can it be? Well, yes, of course. I mean, there was a time where this thing hit $46.50. So that's a very nice price appreciation on that off of a $20 stock. And then you have your dividends on top of that, or your distributions in this case. That's a nice chunk of change. But of course, price appreciation and movement of the price only matters if you're planning on selling the stock. If you're not selling the stock, then the price itself really doesn't matter in these high yield ETFs. The only thing the price does matter is it can affect the amount or the dollar amount of the distribution that you can earn. Because if the price of the stock itself would happen to go down to, say, $5 a share, yes, it doesn't matter to those of us out there who are holding this, as we will still hopefully earn that distribution. But at a $5 stock price, you're not going to get a $2 distribution. You're going to get pennies per share, right? Because of the stock price itself. So that's why, in my mind, I want to keep it up in the 20s and higher, because the higher it goes, the higher the distribution could be, because I am looking for that price per share to be high, right? Because I am using this as more of an income play. That's why I don't really care too much about the price itself per share. I'm more of watching the distribution price per share, right? How much per share am I going to earn through the distribution, as that is income each month that's coming in to my account. But if that price of that stock drops too low, then this value of the distribution per share drops very low. And then it doesn't matter how many shares you got, the dollar value that you're actually earning drops and gets lower, right? Because if you're getting a $2 per share off of 1,000 shares, you're getting $2,000, right? But if that same $20 or $25 stock for MSTY would happen to drop down to $5, and say now you get a 20-cent distribution per share? Well, now you just cut this down from $2 down to 20 cents. So therefore, instead of getting $2,000 for your 1,000 shares, now you're only getting $200 for your 1,000 shares. You still have your 1,000 shares, and it doesn't matter about the price of the stock because you're not selling it. But if the distribution per share drops, so does the income every month that you get would drop. So that's why I always say I don't necessarily care about the price per share for the ETF for MSTY, but I do, because I don't want my distribution per share to get down below the dollar range for MSTY. That's why I don't want them to give out too big of a distribution per share each month that it causes it to basically erode away down to the single digits, as that will lower my distribution per share. But we don't seem to have that so far with MSTY. MSTY has been a very good ETF to be in. As far as the NAV erosion, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Maybe somebody else can look at this chart and explain it to me, how if it started off at that $20.38 and it's at $21.52, and explain to me how that is eroding away, then I'm all ears. But yes, it does also matter when you got in, because if you got in at the top up here at $46.50 and now the price is $21.52, then yeah, your story is definitely going to be a bit different. But you could also be dollar cost averaging in a little bit as the price has dropped. But at some point, you really want to hold on to the shares that you do have and start accumulating these distributions back into your pocket so that each one can start paying you back your capital that you have invested. Because once you get that paid back, then all distributions from there out is 100% free and clear, as you would have none of your personal capital invested. You would have got all of that back in distributions, and then everything after that is pure profit. So why am I holding MSTY long term? Well, I've basically explained a little bit about it, because there is no NAV erosion currently on MSTY. The distributions are still paying out every 4 weeks, and I have earned back a large chunk of my capital. And let's just take a look at that, and I'll explain what I mean and show how much I've earned back. All right, so here we are on my spreadsheet, and I think that you should always try to calculate what your adjusted price per share is. Always know what that is, and that's the adjusted price per share, because that is the price per share after you have earned back any distribution or premium that you have earned throughout your time of holding MSTY. And that is deducted from the amount of capital that you actually invested, so that you know at what point you have earned back all of your capital, and therefore earning your distributions 100% free and clear. And then you can purchase more shares of MSTY if you want, using the YieldMax money that you're earning, or you can turn around and you can use a percentage of it to buy MSTY and the other percentage to buy something else, or you can use all of it to buy something else and just let MSTY sit and do nothing but just pay you every 4 weeks. That is your choice of what you want to do. But with this sheet here, you enter in your buy price, your number of shares, you enter in your distributions here of how much you actually earned, when you've earned it. If you're selling any options, then you can enter that into here, and it will also add in that amount to this sheet here. So with this sheet here, it just helps you to track your position of a certain stock or ETF. In this case, I'm using it for MSTY. And then it also shows you how much you have earned back. As I said, with my distributions factored in, I am only at a $5.02 adjusted price per share. And I have 410 shares total. So I have earned back a total of 80.01% of my money back. So I am just under 20% left at risk. And my actual dollar value at risk is $2,058.10. I no longer have that $10,000 at risk, as I have earned back my distributions and premium here, which has then helped to reduce my capital at risk down to $2,058.10. If you're interested in this sheet, there is a link down in the description, and there will also be one in the pinned comments area with a link that will take you to Buy Me a Coffee, and for doing so, you'll get access to this sheet to help track your stock position of a particular stock that you are wanting to track. And for these high yield ETFs, it really is necessary, in my opinion, to track that so that you know where your real average price per share is. And for me, that is my real average price per share, $5.02, not $25.12. Now, if you have a way of tracking yours, then definitely use that. But if you do not have a way of tracking it and you would like to get access to this, then like I said, there is a link in the pinned comments and also in the description of this video that you can click and get access to this spreadsheet. So again, this is just another example of why I will be holding MSTY for a very long time. Because once this gets to $0 per share, so $0 per share, then why would I ever sell MSTY? Because at that point, it is 100% free and clear gains coming into my account, and that would be considered income into my account. And at that point, it doesn't matter if it's paying $10 or if it's paying $10,000, right? At that point, it doesn't matter to me because I no longer have any skin in the game. I am only reaping the rewards of the distributions at that point. So that kind of gets you a little excited, kind of gets you feeling pretty good that if you can get to that point, you no longer have any worries with MSTY. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on those notification bells. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.